friends. This is another episode of the program Empire of Lies, in which we discuss manipulation and disinformation in the Russian media. When war becomes every day, what Solovyov really says about peace, weapons, and victory. Evening talk shows on Russian television have long ceased to be political discussions. They have become platforms for creating a new norm of war, a norm of violence, a norm of impunity. Vladimir Solovyov's latest broadcast is a brutally frank example. There are no more excuses, metaphors, or diplomatic phrases. There is a straightforward statement. We need to hit NATO countries. We won't play by their rules. This isn't a random emotional outburst. It's an ideological formula where violence becomes a tool of purification and a proof of strength. For the European reader, it's important to understand. Such monologues aren't a cry of rage, but a system of beliefs through which Moscow explains war, peace, and its own role in the world. 1. Nuclear strike as a conversational clue. They're firing tomahawks. Go for a dirty nuclear strike. What's the problem? Solovyov says on air. This phrase is presented not as a shock, but as a mundane comment. The rhetoric of unscrewing the cap devalues the very idea of a nuclear taboo. Destruction is perceived as a technical option. In a Western context, this would sound extreme, but within the Russian media environment, it's already a normalization technique. By repeating the dirty nuclear boom with a hint of irony, the host shifts the conversation about the catastrophe to a more mundane level, thus making it acceptable. This creates a dangerous habit. War ceases to be an exception, and nuclear weapons a last resort. They become simply another option if no one understands otherwise. 2. Europe as a target, not a partner. As long as we only hurt Ukraine, NATO countries don't care. They must understand that we will stop at nothing. This phrase is the key to an ideological shift. It's not about defending Russia, but about the need to inflict pain. To others, so they understand. In this logic, Europe is not the subject, but the object of education. It must be taught, punished, stopped. But this educational tone doesn't convey real confidence. It betrays a besieged fortress complex. The less the world fears, the louder the call to remind it of fear resounds. This kind of television doesn't plan an attack. It produces the psychological equivalent of a nuclear button, pressure through a sense of threat. And that's precisely why Europe shouldn't be feared, because we're not dealing with a policy of force, but a ritual of weakness veiled as resolve. They're giving out tomahawks. Well, just unscrew the cap, so to speak. Go on a dirty nuclear attack. What's the problem? Hit the chemical plants. That's what they want. Hit the nuclear power plant. The West will applaud. They're calling for it. So wipe it off the face of the earth. Warn civilians, leave the cities. And quietly, peacefully, all the way to the Dnieper. Besides, the military knows exactly how much and what type of weapons are needed, including special equipment. We'll regret it later. And we need to hit, among other things, NATO countries. Because as long as we're only hurting Ukraine, NATO countries won't care. They must clearly understand that we will stop at nothing. We won't play by their rules. 3. Tactical nuclear weapons as a working tool. The highlight of the broadcast is a discussion about a possible operation in Transnistria and the question, how many tactical nuclear strikes are needed to suppress air defenses? The answer sounds almost matter-of-fact. Several. That's fine. That's not my plan. That's how the Soviet Union's doctrine was constructed. Here, Solovyov makes a key point. He restores the idea of the Soviet doctrine of a preemptive nuclear strike as a model of rationality. In his logic, the world is an arena where restraint is weakness, and the determination to use special means is a sign of masculinity. For Europe, this is an important signal. Nuclear rhetoric is no longer taboo in Russia. But perceiving this as a threat is pointless. It's not a strategy, but a compensation. If the economy stagnates, diplomacy is exhausted, and successes on the front are minimal, there's only one option left: to speak in the language of absolute weapons, to conceal the relativity of everything else. 4. Winning as an end in itself. Towards the end, Solovyov utters the phrase, "The time for regret is over. The time to win must come." This isn't a slogan, but the essence of the entire Russian military discourse today. Victory has ceased to be a specific goal. It's become a state to be felt, even if it's not achieved. This is how propaganda keeps society emotionally mobilized. As long as we're winning, we can tolerate anything. And if there are no victories, then it's the West's fault, because it hasn't yet understood. In this sense, Solovyov isn't talking about war. He's talking about Russia's inner need to feel great. As long as viewers believe that we won't stop, they don't notice that the country has long been stagnant. You were on the program Empire of Lies. See you soon.